Sure, Alice. So this is a classic case that we have seen. So Saint-Gobain Secure was trying to figure out, how do we enable our digital transformation? And this is the two choices, right? There's your OPC server and there's the IIoT platform. What they were really looking to do is, again, data acquisition number one, but they also were very forward looking. So they also knew that wouldn't be enough. And again, all the things that we've talked about really came to fruition with Saint-Gobain, where they looked at this and said, we can get the data, but then we know there's going to be things that we want to do with that data going forward. So the IoT platform really helped them start to say, okay, let's get the data. Then what? Well, let's do some dashboards on that. Okay, that's on the platform. Let's do some analytics. Okay, that's on the platform. And they've evolved their use cases over time. And they specifically consciously made the choice of the platform because they knew that's how they wanted to approach this. They didn't want to swallow the entire elephant day one, but they wanted a solution that would grow with them and help them evolve onto how they wanted to transform their shop floor. They could have gone with OPC server. They would have got your data collection. That's great. But everything else, they would have had a custom build around it. They would have lost their momentum. So really what they got with the IoT platform was the momentum. It started with the data collection and it's gained traction. And now all the sites are using it. They can change it the way that they need it. They can leverage from site to site, but it's evolved with the business needs, and it's now into, okay, how can we manage this the best way? How can we send data to the cloud? And every day the plants are contributing new use cases. But again, that's a side effect of choosing the right solution, which was the IoT platform.
Okay, great. Thank you. So let's dive into questions because we have quite a few and I want to make sure we get through as many as we can. Just a reminder to the audience, enter any questions you have into the Q&A button on the Zoom and we will get to as many as we can. I want to start with this one because there's a couple of questions along the same lines. So I'll read two of them and I think we can answer them with one answer. So can any PLC or DCS be connected to the IIoT platform without an OPC server? And then the other question was, is an OPC server embedded into the platform and how are you connecting? So let's clarify that. Who wants to take that one?
I can take that one. From the second question, is an OPC server embedded in the platform? No, we have our own ability to connect to the drivers, and we're getting rid of the need to have an OPC server we don't have to have DCOM, we don't have to use Windows at all. We have our own platform to connect the data and collect that out. So yeah, we don't have an OPC server built in. This is newer technology that's not reliant on the Windows proprietary and 30-year-old technology. From the standpoint of connecting to PLCs and DCSs, yes, we can connect directly to the PLCs. We have actually more drivers than the larger, one of the largest manufacturers of OPC servers out there. And we've done that in a fraction of the time that they've been able to develop it because of how we do it. So no, you don't need any, we can go directly to that. We do have occasions where people have an OPC server and don't want to mess with it because they've got other legacy systems connected to it. So we work, in parallel with that or directly connect to the server as well. So we're really flexible from that standpoint. I think that answered that question.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So we have quite a few questions about our cloud integration. So let me hit a couple of those. Let's see. Do you integrate with cloud platforms like Azure, AWS, as well as services running on those platforms, like for storage or analytics? And is our offering a self-contained solution? So that's double loaded, right? Let's just start with, do we integrate with cloud platforms like Azure, AWS, and their services running on those?
Yeah, the short answer there is yes. If you've got a cloud system, we can integrate to it. So those are the pre-built integrations we talked about earlier in the webinar.
All right. Yeah, we didn't go into great detail in this webinar about integrations, but if you check out our resources on our website.
Just to add to that real quickly, thanks, Mark. But the integrations, it's really a configuration. You just add your credentials to your cloud, whether it's Azure, AWS, Google, et cetera. Store and forward is built in. So, if you ever lose that connection, the data is integrated up. We can go to the standard IoT, you know, for instance, Azure IoT Hub, for AWS IoT Core. We can go to S3 buckets in the AWS. We can go directly to SQL servers on a private cloud. And so there's a lot of different integrations. There's a lot of different ways that our customers handle that.
All right, and there's another question on store and forward. So you just mentioned that. I'll ask that one. Where is the data stored and time stamped, and does it depend on the data protocol being used?
So no, we basically store the data locally on our edge platform. Automatic, you know, basically a check of a box to have that data stored, and then if you want to, or you know, if you lose that connection to the cloud or other database or other message broker, we will buffer that data locally, and then when that connection comes back up, we'll automatically forward the data on. Doesn't matter the format. Most clouds are all using JSON format, but it's not required to do that because of the edge compute that we can offer. You can transform that data into any format that you want.
Okay, great. Here's a question about security. OPC, you know, we talked about how OPC requires a Windows environment and patches and antivirus, but how do we handle security and how do we protect our data in the industrial IoT platform? Who'd like to tackle that?
Mark, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to think the best way to answer that one. So there's a number of security aspects that you get with the IoT platform. So access into the platform to any of the data is restricted. In other words, you cannot access those internal time series database from an external source. You can only be within inside the platform itself. So I have to be logged into the platform to work with that data, or I have to purposely set up an integration or some push the data out so it can be exposed to other types of systems. The data that's coming in, we talked about that with the message broker. So you have to subscribe to the data that is coming in. So if you don't know the topic, and the topic is it's basically a 32 character key. If you don't know what that key is, you can't get a hold of that data as it's coming into the system, or you cannot even work with it. And then from an operating system perspective, it is a purpose-built, customized version of Linux, which has all the not used pieces and functions and methods taken out of it. So it is a very condensed, very streamlined kernel, which again inherently protects it from any external threats.
To that point, Mark, to add to that is because it's such a lockdown OS and that we're not running, say, on a Windows platform, we're not reliant on someone else's platform, that if there's a, you know, like a log J4